Yes, welcome once again, everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Clare. It's August 30th, 2019. The show, as always, is presented to you by the Marijuana Times. You can find us at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there to find the show. A lot of great articles there as well, social media links, and more. Keep up with the cannabis community, industry, and beyond with the Marijuana Times. Today, we're talking about marijuana breathalyzers. Are they imminent? Is their arrival imminent? I don't know what that was. I don't know if you could hear that. It was a rather loud boom. Also, federal health officials are sounding the alarm about marijuana. And a man being murdered in an unlicensed dispensary in L.A., drawing more attention to the numerous unlicensed dispensaries and shops in the Los Angeles area and in California as a whole, which the state and local authorities are trying to crack down on. All of this is coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't use harmful chemicals on what you're growing, especially things that people are going to be ingesting. That would be awful. What you should use is Natureside, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Thank you, Natureside. As it says right there, sometimes nature needs a little science. Bam. Taglines. Nailing it. It's first story, marijuanatimes.org. Our marijuana breathalyzer device is imminent. This is a story that was written by yours truly. Basically, there's a few groups attempting to make marijuana breathalyzers. In other words, they're trying to make things that cops can use on the roadside and other law enforcement officials can use as roadside tests to be able to see how much THC is in someone's system. They can't take blood tests or hair tests on the side of the road and get readings from that, but there are various groups are working on a breathalyzer. One, known as Hound Labs, recently completed a $30 million round of raising capital. Also, another group of researchers from the University of Pittsburgh published a study last week. They sought to glean data on a breathalyzer device that can measure the amount of THC, the psychoactive compound in marijuana, in the user's breath. Now, of course, even if you can somehow have a machine that will give you this number, it still doesn't tell you how impaired someone may or may not be. People have different tolerances. Marijuana gets out of their system at different rates depending on how much they've used. You know, a heavy user who hasn't smoked for a couple of days is going to have a lot more in their system than someone who may have smoked, a light user that may have smoked an hour ago. So you're not, just from that number, you're not going to be able to get an impairment. There's no standard for something like that. But this may be a step in that direction. I guess before you can have a standard, you actually have to have a reliable and uniform way to find whatever number it is you're looking for. And then from there, you can try to ascertain impairment. I don't know. It's a long road. Basically, what's going to end up happening is what happens with whenever the government tries to control people's behavior. Some people who aren't guilty are going to be caught. Some people who are guilty are going to be caught. And most people who are not guilty or who are guilty are going to skate by, and you're never going to know. So it is what it is. Not much can be changed about that. But technology-wise, I guess, on the technological end of things, a lot of groups working on breathalyzers, and apparently there's some money in it as well, because obviously if you have a working breathalyzer, a lot of police departments are going to want to buy that, and that can mean some major change, some major scratch, a lot of Skrilla, ducats, things of that nature for your marijuana breathalyzer company. This next story from Time.com. That's on various news wires everywhere because it was a big deal. Because federal government's got stuff to say about marijuana. They want to tell you all about it. This ain't your mother's marijuana. Federal health officials issue national warning on pot. It's such a trite, cliched saying. This ain't your father's marijuana. This ain't your mother's marijuana. This ain't your grandmother's marijuana. Anyway, continuing. Federal health officials issued a national warning Thursday against marijuana use by adolescents and pregnant women as more states legalize the increasingly potent drug for medicinal and recreational use. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar and Surgeon General Jerome Adams made the announcement, with Azar calling marijuana a dangerous drug. Adams said science shows that marijuana is harmful to the developing brains of teenagers and to the human fetus. Well, to be clear on that, there's no consensus on that at all. Some studies say otherwise. And I always love this notion, this hand wringing over pregnant women using marijuana. They prescribe opioids to pregnant women. They prescribe dangerous narcotics to women with fetuses inside them. This notion that somehow Percocets are cool, but marijuana is going to do some damage to your kid's brain is crazy to me. I said there's some studies on one side, there's some studies on the other side to act like this is settled science, quote unquote, which is a stupid term to begin with, but stupid people use stupid terms, I guess. There's no consensus whatsoever in the scientific community. It's an issue that's barely been looked into. Numerous studies are in various phases right now, and we'll continue to see what those studies have to say. As far as being harmful to developing brains, there are a lot of studies that say that simply is not true. You can go to Normal. Normal will link you to dozens of studies that say the exact opposite. The American Medical Association said it strongly supports the government's effort, adding that for some time it has been recommending against marijuana use by teens, pregnant women, and women who are breastfeeding. The Surgeon General says his advisory is a direct result of scientific research that runs counter to changing social mores. In other words, a couple of studies that he cherry-picked that agree with what he wants people to think. Marijuana use is a risk to the developing brain, Adams said. Over time, there have been changes in attitudes about marijuana, creating a false sense of security. Go down here we go. HHS Assistant Secretary for Health Brett Giroir said pregnant women taking marijuana to relieve morning sickness should stop. A total stranger. Have you ever heard of Brett Giroir? Giroir? Giroir. Why is Brett Giroir have an opinion about pregnant women that he doesn't know and whether or not they're using marijuana for morning sickness? See, this is what I'm always saying. These people are strangers. People say, well, Trump thinks this, and McConnell thinks this, and Nancy Pelosi thinks this. I don't care what they think. They're nobody. They will never face the consequences of any decision you make, but the fact that we give these people so much power to make every single decision in our lives is pathetic. I'm just going to say it. It's pathetic. If you're one of those people that says, oh, I just can't handle life, I just can't do it, I need Daddy Trump and Mommy Pelosi, and they got to get together and decide what is needed for me and whether or not I can use marijuana while I'm pregnant or anything else I want to do, or maybe state officials that I have never even heard of, maybe they should decide for me, these total strangers, what I should do. No, they shouldn't. That's pathetic. Run your life. If you're a mother, you're pregnant, do your own research. Decide on your own. But Assistant Secretary for Health, wow. Assistant Secretary for Health. You know what that means? Nothing. It means nothing. You know who this guy is? Nobody. He's absolutely nobody. AKA Assistant Secretary for Health. AKA nobody. If you have morning sickness, talk to your physician. There are FDA-approved drugs to help with morning sickness. Taking marijuana for morning sickness has never been shown to be safe or effective. Actually, there are studies that do show that it's safe and effective, so that's a lie. Second of all, tens of thousands of people die every year from FDA-approved drugs. Just because you slap FDA-approved on it does not mean it is safe for you to take in any way, shape, or form. FDA has had to recall drugs that they have approved because they were just killing all sorts of people. All kinds of people were dropping. FDA approved means nothing. It means a big pharmaceutical company who has some former members on the board of the FDA got one of their drugs, their expensive drugs, through the process, and they slapped that FDA approval on it, and bam, it means nothing. FDA approval is the Assistant Secretary for Health of approvals. It means nothing. Nothing. I can't stress this enough. This notion that there are all these people, they're in Washington and they're a member of an agency, so they're going to make decisions for our lives. Why? Why is that? You have no idea. You have no idea. I just asked you that question. You're watching this. You have no idea of an answer. Not even close. You're not even close to formulating a sentence that could possibly start you down the road to answering that question. Why is Assistant Secretary for Health Brett Giroir This guy, I can't even pronounce his stupid name. Why is he making decisions for anyone? Even if you buy into the fact that, oh, well, we'll vote people in and they can run our lives and that's a good idea, which is not. But let's say it is. Nobody voted for this dude. How many votes did Brett Gorillo get? Did anybody out there vote for Brett? No, you didn't. You absolutely did not. I bet $1 million gazillion that none of you watching this voted for Brett Gorillo. That guy. None of you voted for him. Absolutely none. Surgeon General, there's a stupid video of him on Twitter asking everybody in the audience, it's an audience of substance recovery people. He says, raise your hand if you're in recovery. They all raise their hand. He says, raise your hand if you smoked marijuana before the age of 25. And most of them kept their hands up. He's like, see? They all start with marijuana. Gateway drug. Bam. As somebody pointed out on Twitter, I think it was Peter Grinspoon, you can ask the same question about milk. And everybody would keep their hands up. You can ask the question about a lot of things. How many of you rode a bike as a kid? Most hands stay up. Oh, well, bike riders, it leads to heroin. Stupid. And these are the people that are supposed to be telling us what to do. They're dumb people. The Surgeon General's a dumb person. He knows nothing about marijuana. But he's got a title. Somebody paid him Surgeon General. Nobody voted for him. He's made Surgeon General, and now, well, he's running your life. How does that work? This dummy, who's a doctor, that's fine. There's plenty of dummy doctors. Just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you know everything. It means you know a certain amount of things, enough in one specialty to get yourself through medical school, which there's medical schools of various decency and ability and accreditation or whatever. There's different levels of how good a college is, but I don't care how many years of medical school you went to. You're a total stranger. You can't tell me what to do with my life. If I'm not infringing on the rights of anyone else, it's none of your business. I don't care if you went to 86 years of medical school. You're the best Surgeon General ever. I don't care. You're a stranger to me. You have no right to tell me what to do if I'm not infringing the rights of anyone else. Period. Jerome Adams, dummy. I don't care. Shut up. Yeah, that's right. I don't care if you're a Surgeon General. Did you think that you deserve respect because you get out there and make stupid speeches and lie to people? No. Zero respect, you dummy. Surgeon General is a dummy. Is a nitwit, as Peter Greenspan put it on Twitter. Why is this man deserving of respect? Who is this man? Why does he deserve our respect? And more so, furthermore, why does he deserve power over our lives? I've yet to get a good answer to any of those questions that I've asked various times in various episodes. And I don't expect this one to be any different. Last story from LATimes.com. Man fatally shot in unlicensed South LA marijuana dispensary after officials vow of a crackdown in the area. Police are searching for two men suspected of fatally shooting a man in an unlicensed marijuana dispensary in South Los Angeles early Thursday. Officers responded to reports of a shooting at the business in the 8100 block of South Broadway near 81st Street about 1 a.m. This is according to the LAPD. Witnesses told police that one or both of the men opened fire inside the business, striking the victim several times. The man, who was in his 20s, was pronounced dead at the scene, police said. The violence broke out a day after authorities shut down a separate unlicensed cannabis dispensary on the same street. A crackdown that city officials say is aimed at deterring other illegal operators. Earlier this year, the Times reported that they found there were at least 220 illegal cannabis dispensaries in Los Angeles, more than the number of licensed operators in California's largest marijuana market. So the crackdown continues in LA, and things like this are obviously going to draw more attention to what's going on there. Incidents like one last night are extremely disheartening, but punctuate the fact that illegal dispensaries are dangerous and harming South LA neighborhoods, said City Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson, who represents South Los Angeles, said his district has more than 70 illegal dispensaries, a number he says is far too high. You know, I mean, it is what it is. The crackdown will obviously continue in California on the illegal dispensaries. Weed Maps has said that their site by the end of the year will be clear of unlicensed operators. I wouldn't recommend getting into the unlicensed dispensary business. I mean, I wouldn't have agreed. I wouldn't have given that advice a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago. I certainly wouldn't give it now. I would look to the licensing aspect. That's what's going to protect you from having to worry about being shut down, and maybe allow you the feeling you can have the protection of the police if you so desire. Maybe these people, this illegal dispensary, feel like they might have some problems, some stuff is going to go down, but they couldn't call the police because they're illegal. So instead, somebody got shot. It's better to avoid that situation, because they're gonna find you. I mean, you can't. You're selling weed out of a storefront. They're gonna find you eventually. It's just, even the dumbest cop one day is gonna be like, hey, wait a minute. They're selling weed out of that storefront. Oh, you got a license? No. Okay, you're busted. It's not going to be difficult. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the show. It's the end of another week here at Cannabis News. Keep spreading the word about the show. Thank you to Nature's Side, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you all for watching and listening today, and we'll see you next week right here on Cannabis News.